So, hi everyone, everyone who's watching and everyone who's rewatching it at a later stage. You have the Maxident team here. Um, we have all of our beautiful account managers on the big screen coming to you live on YouTube here. You'll have to forgive us. This is the first time we're doing a YouTube live. So, given the situation we have around the world, what we want to do is we want to touch base with everyone on a weekly basis. Um, Nowadays, Fridays are like any other day, but we'll just choose Friday around around lunchtime, depending on where where you're connecting from and which time zone. The idea is to talk about some of the developments that are related to our dental industry and to the pandemic. Today, we have a fairly short list of topics, but if you've ever been to any one of our webinars or broadcasts, you know that it tends to go a little longer than planned. Um, Today, um, we have these topics that we want to cover. We have layoff and staffing. We're going to touch a little bit on that topic, leveraging the downtime training and treatment follow up, staying sane at home with kids. I know a lot of people, the working remotely is when school is not in operation. That's a new thing. So some things I'll have to deal with that, and staying connected with uh, everyone while keeping physical distance in between. So, why don't we start with sharing some conversations that we had with clients over the last week or two with regards to staffing and layoffs and everything. Mike, why don't you start sharing some of that, some of those questions and hard topics to chat about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing that I've been hearing from a lot of clients that I've been speaking with is that they're very concerned about how to manage the staffing and how to handle layoffs as well if this is like a prolonged situation. So, number one thing to mention is that we are not experts when it comes to unemployment. So, I would always recommend that you follow up with your employment standards, or if you have a corporate lawyer or even like a human lawyer for human resources, then follow up with them as well. Though through all the information that we've gone and learned, is that one thing that the government is doing, that they have actually gone ahead and they're giving back 75% of wage to businesses, so that way they can continue to keep moving forward.
That's a very true piece of information. Originally, they've announced only 10%, which anyone watching, 10% of wages, that's not really enough to keep the lights on. If the business wants to keep, the staff. The announcement for 75% actually came yesterday. Unfortunately, there's no details on who qualifies and what are the steps and what are the timelines. He did mention that the subsidies, it's called a wage subsidy, would be available retrospective to March 15th. And it seems like there would be some more information coming on Monday. That's basically based on this article from Global News. If anyone can trust any news outlet nowadays, but 75% wage subsidy, and like I mentioned, we're gonna have um, some more information on who qualifies and how to um, get that money from the government to help the small businesses. I'm assuming that dental clinics would dental clinics, dentures clinics with staff, and even independent hygiene that employ staff would probably qualify, but we'll have to see on Monday and see how it's going. On the layoff side, and this is an interesting point, that's the biggest topic that our industry, and I'm assuming other industries as well, have been going through with regards to this situation in the last week or so. And the reality is that um, unless, as it seems, based on talking with a lawyer and reading a couple of articles, it seems unless you have specifically um, outlined a layoff situation within an employment contract, unless you did that and you're laying off some staff, you might be exposing your business to some risks. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, we're doing a webinar next week with Stuart Rudner from Rudner Law in Ontario. He's an employment lawyer, specializes in that. So he'll try to answer questions um, and discuss these particular things and what are the risks and what you can and cannot do as things evolve pretty fast. That information is going to be current to the time of the webinar. This is one article that came from HR Reporter about laying off employees that mentions if you don't have it in the contract, then you might be exposing yourself to risk on that front. Um, but yeah, there are many resources available that you should consult with when it comes to employment of staff specifically, and more importantly during times like these that are what's the word they all like to use? Unprecedented. Um, so
Uncertain times.
uncertain times. You were right, Mike. Employment standards, 100%. Human rights is a separate one, but it's also an important one. Um, Corporate lawyer, that they know your business in general, and then either a specialty lawyer for employment or a service that I usually recommend and use called Legal Shield, which allows you unlimited phone consultations with a lawyer for a very comparatively low monthly subscription. I know for a company of about 20, well, under 30 employees, we pay about $100 a month. So that is obviously substantially lower than the $400 per hour for the corporate lawyer. So, um, but yeah, so I guess that's for that. We're gonna put a link to the webinar somewhere here in the comments. We'll be able to do that um, in a bit, and it's going to be available for people who are viewing this um, during the either live right now or later on. Jumping on our second topic, want to break it into two. Leveraging the downtime, we all are kind of confined to our homes, and we want to make sure that um, we're able to, when we say make lemonade. So we want to touch upon two subtopics: training and treatment follow-up. And I know that James has been having quite a few conversations with offices about that are looking at this dire situation as an opportunity to to increase their skills and to help their staff gain more knowledge about everything. Why don't you share with our viewers a little bit about their thought process and how they came to that.
Yeah, no problems. It's a different time, as you said, for absolutely everybody, and this whole working from home thing is a new adjustment for a lot of people, especially if you're used to having that break throughout the day to get outside and do many other things other than sitting inside for 16 hours a day. So it breaks it down into a few points, like what do you do with your time going forward? Do you still have employees currently right now that are on payroll that you're looking for opportunities for them to maybe enhance their skills a little bit more, and take the time opportunity to sit with us and go through some online training, via, if it's a brand new user or all the way to being an advanced user, via the online training portal, where we can have someone link in with you and we can start going over those areas that are a bit of a challenge altogether. Sorry, you lost me there. I had a call come in. But after talking to a few offices, it seems like some people really just don't know how to handle the situation right now and what to do with their time. For the owners and for the dentists, it's a different time altogether because they're thinking business wise on a bigger scale, and sometimes that creates more things that are on their plate than what would normally be on a worker's plate or an employee's plate, for an example. But I do have a few offices that want to take that opportunity and time right now in the uncertainty of, is this 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Are we going to be doing this for a month or two? Like, how does this all work? And what can we really plan that we've kind of had on the back burner for a little while, and to take advantage of the time right now? I've had an office just recently reach out and want to start the digital charting because they find that this is a great opportunity in the downtime for their employees, to get some of that training. So when we're able to go back out on the road and travel to people's offices again, that we can then do that on site for them. And it'll be much less of an impact at that point because they have a good background foundation and knowledge as to how to use that program, the things that you need to do to be successful and to be super efficient with it. Like I mentioned, I have a few offices that I've been talking to as well that are just going to take that time and opportunity right now just to do the training portions themselves, just to brush up on their skills. And everyone's in a different economic spot right now too. I've heard from a few offices, well, the bigger offices, they don't have to worry about this right now. Well, they do too. But just because the office model isn't, a 5-6 person operation and it's, 30-40 people plus, just based on volume of the income that place is bringing in, plus the income of what their employees are taking, it is kind of retrospect when you look at it, pretty much the same sort of model. So everyone's going through that same struggle. So do we want to take some time right now to retrospect on things we want to do? Do we want to maybe take some time to have a conversation with myself or Jay or Mike or Noel or even Alex as well to get involved to help you to fulfill your vision and what you want to see for your clinic going down the road, post-pandemic times here. So there, like I said, there's varying ways of opportunity right now. I think the biggest thing for us as account managers is we really just want to keep that open line of communication, just be able to talk to you, just to see what's going on, if there's any little areas that we can help in, and not just on the business model itself, but even just a platform of someone to talk to, right? Because right now this is a different time, and a lot of people don't necessarily know how to handle it, but to have kind of a person that you can vent to a little bit and help you to plan for things down the road is still a positive step in the right direction. So those are my experiences so far, from the offices that I've been speaking to. And I just obviously wanted to share that with you guys as well, because again, there's a lot of areas of opportunity to grow throughout this process, and not feel so sheltered. We're already sheltered enough just being home. We don't have to be sheltered in our mindset as well, and just know that things will get better down the road here.
This is it. We're broadcasting to you from each from our respective bunkers here in the COVID-19 pandemic. But yeah, everything that James says is spot on. We want to, like, we are gonna get through this, and we want to see, we want to plan right now who are the people we want to see come out on the other side, and that's people who have more education with leverage this time to spend time with their family if they were too occupied with work, and um, to be able to learn new skills even in the, or especially in the comfort of our own homes. That's, I think that's very, very important. We're a learning creature, so if we stop learning, we slowly die inside. That's what we want to prevent. So a lot of educational opportunities are available. Companies are, um, you know, picking up on the fact that people are at home and they can use the additional training, and this is exactly what they're doing. So for everyone who's watching, take advantage of that. And yeah, that's pretty much what we need to do. But that's good. And then let's go back to our blue screen of topics. Um, so treatment follow up. This is a very, very important um, um, item to touch base on. The reality is that although everyone now is at home, offices are closed, um, but is administrative work that needs to be done, and someone needs to do it properly to set up the practice for the day after, for when we go back and try to recover back to normal as soon as possible. So, Jay, how about you share with us some of your conversations with clients and office managers and reception staff that are doing this exact thing, in these days?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in with us. Is my mic coming in clearly? All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, you're good.
Okay, so yeah, in this situation, just like us with the rest of the world, a lot are working from home, and we'd like to utilize that. And thank you for technology, right? As they always say, and when we have to use what we have. And for most people, this is not most. I mean, not most, but then I guess for all of us, we like nobody had prepared for this situation. But based on our conversation, a lot of despite of the communication that was sent out by the colleges and association where they were recommended to only do emergencies. But a lot of the offices, based on my conversation, are they as much as they want to do the emergency, they don't have the capacity to do so because of shortage of things, right? So with most offices, they either just put in like 2 hours or 2 hours a day, or some would come into the office like 5 hours twice a week kind of thing. And what they do is they for various of things, but the common thing that they do is like move their schedules and appointments around. But then I guess right now I don't know if that's I'm getting different stories, because it's either good that you do that, so that you would say that you're productive, but then at the same time, is that a good idea? Because you may move the appointment to May, but not knowing the situation in May, right? I mean, this could worsen, or this could go better. So we don't know yet. So for other offices, it's just on hold. Until further notice. And for there's this one office, just like what just to pick up where James's conversation was, like I like where the clients that he spoke with is utilizing this time for training, because they want to learn, just like what Alex had said, that we have to learn. We are learning individuals, right? I mean, we would die inside if you don't know and you stop growing, and that's how we grow, right? It's through learning, and this situation shouldn't stop us because there are means of doing that. With the office that I particularly spoke to, they have digital charting, but then when they transitioned before from digital from paper chart to digital charting, they still have the wall of chart where we often call it like the wall of charts, which is an abstract to their wall, right? With all those colorful tabs in their names. And so what they're doing is they're now scanning, because just making use of the time, and they're doing chart audits, and not just calling, because these calls can, like, again, like what other offices have been doing, they're advancing the appointment, but then with uncertainty, right? So at least this time, I mean, they have ample time to do that, and then some offices would go through their treatment plans, and even with our, like, not whether you have a digital practice management software, whether that's Maxident or other softwares, or you're tracking everything on paper when it comes to your your pre-op and your treatment plans. I guess this is the best time for you to audit that. We've always had this conversation with offices where treatment plans are done in multiple ways, right? Even if there is a way for you to track it digitally, but a lot of them are not utilizing that. They still go on paper. But now in paper, we all know that if you send a pre-auth, it may take time. There's you can get the response real time, or sometimes they just send it to the patient, and you don't know if once they get it, because the patients don't call you right away, right? Now, what are you guys doing to those treatment plans? And now, after all this crisis subsides and we go back to our normal lives, they still exist, right? So it's not something that we just put under the rug and not talk about. So I guess this is the right time for offices to actually do an audit with these treatment plans, and then just make sure that they're in order. And when things come back to normal, then it's time to get these people in. And it's not just on the business side of things, but mainly the oral health of our patients, of the patients, right? Because right now everybody's being treated for emergency, but then these minor things that was supposed to be treated, then obviously was put on hold, and then we don't want them to escalate to something that is grave that will turn into emergency. So these are some of the things that you may want to do for your office, and this is good both in the business aspect and for oral health. So that's what I'm getting from our offices.
You made a really, really interesting point, and I was thinking as you were speaking, all of the patients that we've diagnosed basic treatments, those resurface fillings and stuff like that, to be done, and we haven't really done that. That condition gone untreated is going to escalate. So, uh, making sure that you stay on top of those small treatments, and make sure that you track them and prioritize them when you are back, um, in normal operation, is very important. Potentially even making sure that the dentist follows up with the patient over the phone and saying, hey, we had this planned out to do, and it's been a month, 2 months, whatnot, and I wanted to make sure that you're not having any pain or whatnot, because there's gonna be issues for conditions gone untreated. So definitely staying on top of that for the benefit of the patients is extremely important. So that's a very, very good point, Jay. Good stuff. So let's see. Wow, staying sane at home with kids. That is a really, really loaded uh, topic, which I'm pretty sure many, many books are going to be written, if not already, by psychologists and then psychiatrists. Uh, um, but the reality is, we are all exhibiting um, some adaptation um, uh, steps, and when we try to figure out how our normal day is going to look like working from home for the people who are working from home, and for people who are not able to work from home but are still running a business or trying to have the business survive. Um, I was speaking with quite a few people, and they were telling me that sometimes the main issue is not the kids; it's the spouse. So I'm assuming that a lot of times it's a mixture, and we all have our unique family dynamics. Um, but yeah, as long as me personally, I feel like I'm fortunate enough to have my wife basically take the brunt of it and dedicate herself completely to taking care of the kids and making sure they're not bored and they still keep evolving. Um, for anyone who's watching and they don't know, I have two small children, 5 and 2. So they're not really self-sufficient in terms of I'll just get some homework from school and do it at home. They need to be engaged. They seek your attention all of their waking time. Uh, so this is why it's good timing for me to do the broadcast, just because my kids go to sleep for their afternoon nap. So it's pretty quiet. Um, but yeah, I feel fortunate that I'm able to work and try and keep my day as normal as possible given the situation. And if my wife is going to rewatch this at some point, then thank you very much. But maybe a big thank you is appropriate to all of the parents out there that are taking the brunt of it for while their spouses are trying to work from home and still get some income to the household. Um, Noel, we're down to you. Why don't you share some of your tips and tricks of dealing and staying safe, sane with everything that's going on from working from home?
That's very true, Alex. And hello, everybody. That's really a very, very good comments, Alex. And like you, I'm working from home, and my wife is staying at home as well for a couple of weeks. And she is staying on top of the children's activity, especially with, as you know, we do have a favorite daughter, which is she's 10 years old. She is a grade 5, and there are so many. She is hyperactive as well, and she get bored easily. And I really, really thank my wife for getting on top of her activities, especially with, creating projects and schoolworks and all that kind of stuff. The schools are very, very active in sending the assignments, projects, and all that kind of stuff. They collaborate using video conference and video chats and all that kind of platform. My wife even joined the discussions with the teacher on with the video conference and stuff, and also and also they are making exercises as well after those activities. The school also sent us or we requested a books for her to read. And I also encourage everybody to, when you are, sometimes this is 2 hours, 4 hours of staying at home maybe will drive you insane for some reason. And I encourage you to step out, walk out around the block with the children, just to get the view of what's going outside and also getting sunlight into everybody else's. And of course, do not forget the social distancing just to prevent or help out with the prevention of this disease.
100%. I'm seeing more and more people walk outside than I've ever seen. I'm assuming people are finding it difficult to stay in the house. Um, but we are fortunate to have a law-abiding community for the most of it. I've seen some reports in other countries that they're still running mass gatherings and weddings and stuff like that, and that is not helping. So, um, but you're right. Making sure, and I know I was reading an article that was trying to, well, it wasn't arguing between the 2 points. It was making 2 points on both sides of the spectrum. One was saying you should try to mimic the actual school uh, framework for your children. The other one was saying do not try to mimic the school environment, which is the new environment at home. Um, I think there's that you would never be able to get an agreement between those two groups. I think you have to do for your children what makes sense to them. I think that regardless of what you decide to do, if you are able to spend time with them, that's probably the best side effect of this pandemic. Is the ability to spend more time with your children. I know for me, it has been a major uh, probably one of the only good things of this pandemic and working from home is the ability to spend a little bit more time with my children and participate in their upbringing. And I think it's important to be one of those resources in helping them grow and continue learning in their own specific, special way within the home environment. So I think it's very, very important, and that's good. Which brings us to our last topic on the blue screen of topics. We have staying connected while practicing social distancing. And I think that it's a very interesting um um, point, and James touched upon it early on, is and even Jay, the timing of the pandemic is interesting because technologically we're at a point where we are able to stay connected virtually, whether it's social media, all kinds of groups, our connections, maybe even, we're able to kickstart conversations with people we're connected with, but we haven't even talked to them in years, and reminisce some great memories from the past and helping us deal with the physical distancing that we have to practice. I know one of the things that people don't really understand is that social distancing actually means physical distancing, not necessarily stay away from all humans, because virtually, unless the virus mutates and is transferable using Zoom meetings and other means of video conferencing, this is safe. Human beings are, by definition, not definition, but by nature, social creatures. And we, although some people prefer to not socialize, in all honesty, without being able to um, engage with other humans, we are all going to go into substantial depression. So some ways to stay connected. There's a lot of dental related Facebook groups. If you're not on Facebook, that's a good now's a good time to join and figure out the platform. If you are, just search there groups with that relate to dental. You'll see a lot of them that are local to your region, others that are more national. Join those groups, start participating in discussions. It's very, very, very important to not take legal advice from group members just because they are not certified, usually, to give legal advice and whatnot. But engage in conversation because you never know what you can learn from the people, and we have strength in numbers. So the more people you work with and you speak with and you interact with, the more information you have, and then the smarter questions you can ask. Um, so definitely do that. And there's another thing for people who are not really engaged in working all day, is try and create yourself some sort of a routine to be able to. We're also creatures of routine, so um, incorporate things like staying up to date with news, incorporate children activities if you have children, incorporate some exercise indoors, preferably, but sometimes outdoors works. Don't use any of the um playgrounds, but running is okay. Um, but have a routine, so you're doing things in the morning, you have things you're doing afternoon and in the evening. Spend some time with your significant other without the children. That's also very, very important. So I think creating a routine while engaging and even rekindling old connections that you have to see how they are coping with the situation. And like I said, reminiscing on old good memories is always a good thing, and puts you in a good mood. So that's also a good piece of advice. Um, how about you guys? Any other interesting tips and tricks how to stay connected?
No, you pretty much covered it. Like the only the means that we have now, I guess the major platform in the world now is Facebook, and I know a lot of like millennials are not using Facebook, but they still do somehow, right? It's just not active. Maybe they're using Snapchat or IG, but then what's important is that you guys are, or we are all connected. Maybe this season or time of crisis of, social distancing does not, like, may it not disconnect us socially from our friends and families to keep us sane.
That's awesome, Jay. I think another thing that I've seen that I found really inspirational is I know a lot of people um, are really strong in their faith, and what I found is that a lot of religious establishments are creating mass gatherings and broadcasts with religious content, uh, and they bring it to you, so you're able to even consume even more of that content. And I found that a lot of people find comfort in it and it uplifts them. So if anything, this situation just created substantially more resources for you to have that content and to feel a part of a bigger community and movement. So if you are into that, for sure, that's another resource you can search, whether on Facebook or whatnot. I know a lot of those establishments are doing daily live broadcasts. So join that. That's good.
Absolutely. It's as if James has said earlier that right now is a time of opportunity. Everyone gets caught up with work that's happening day to day. And as you mentioned, Alex, we're getting a ton more resources to be able to work remotely and have all this accessible within our fingertips. So I think, as James mentioned, taking this opportunity to continue to absorb all that information and learn and grow, I think I think that's what would be best. It creates that routine and gets you connected with everybody as well.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things that I'm struggling with right now is the same routine as your daily routine. And I've read a few articles that really touch base on that, where it starts with like, it's so easy to roll out of bed and not even really roll out of bed, just like kind of grab your laptop and set yourself up. And I know we've had a couple of video conferences, and that's pretty much where I've been parked. But the days where I'm getting up and I'm keeping into my normal routine, like you get up, you shower, you do all the things you need to do, I find that those days are much more productive, and that's kind of that good feeling when you can still get a bunch of work done. It's a hard crushing thing when you have, everyone talks about when we're in the workforce, oh man, it must be so nice to work at home and the luxury of working at home. But when you do, you're not always as productive, so you don't get that same intrinsic feeling at the end of the day. So keeping up in those routines. And for these guys here who know that I work out quite a bit, it's been such a struggle, right? To not be, and it's crazy because when I talk about routines, I'm also talking about, I have my own physical routine, and you hit the pre-workout, you start driving to the gym, but you leave your house and you leave to go see other people at the same time. So not having that bit of that social connection as you're doing something that you enjoy to do, or when I was playing hockey, I can't. This isn't the time of year where we can still take advantage of those things, but we also got to be thankful that this is actually happening more so now than November 1st, December 1st, where it's, well, here in Winnipeg it gets to be minus 30 real quick, which doesn't even allow you the freedom of going outside some days, but to kind of also be thankful of the time that we have and the more routines that we keep, the better it is. And it's also a time to try different opportunities. If you wanted to try that fitness thing, or sit down and read a book, or catch up, like we were talking in one of our internal meetings the other day, catch up on all the things that are on your list of things to do right now that are within your reach. These are the things that this is just an opportunity to be positive about what we're going through as well, and feel like you're accomplishing something more. So yeah, like I said, it's we miss our daily routines, but we need to kind of keep in stride of where we are right now, and where we're going for the next little while together.
Agreed. And for people who can't really find the people to connect and engage with, feel free to engage us, whether through the stream or through calling or emailing or messaging or whatnot. We would love the opportunity to touch base and learn about what it is that you're doing and how you're coping, and what are your challenges are, and see, we speak with dozens of offices every day, so we might be able to suggest or recommend based on a success in a different office we speak with. So um, definitely reach out and touch base, and we would love to help. Um, that's good. Anything else, guys, we want to share with everyone before we wrap up?
Well,